Now look what you've done. My usually placid father was angry. My usually calm mother was in tears. I, usually such a good child, was terrified. Panic-stricken and smarting from the disapproving looks of my relations, I fled. Down the garden I ran, oblivious to the warmth of the sun or the colours of the flowers on this summer's Sunday afternoon. Picking up Cocky Locky, my pet cockerel, I squeezed into my hidey-hole behind the hen house and waited, my heart thumping. What dreadful deed had I committed in the midst of this terrible war still raging in this year of 1944? Crouched in my bolt hole, I went over it in my mind. After dinner, I had been sent out to play with my cousin Ida, who was 4 years older than me and very bossy. I hated her. Becoming fed up with her orders, I had run away from her, only to be caught and flattened on the ground with dire threats. "If you don't do as I say, I'll—" Scared stiff, I promised. At last she had left me and headed for the toilet. This was my opportunity. I had escaped to the barn, secreted a tin of boot polish in my knicker's leg, and waited in the yard for her return. But she hadn't come back. So with mounting impatience, I had stormed into the front room to find her sitting on the arm of a chair, the centre of attention as she charmed the adults. On impulse, I had hurled my missile at her, never expecting her to duck. Crash! There was a ghastly sound of tinkling glass as a jagged hole appeared in the side of the display cabinet which housed my mother's precious china and knickknacks. To gasps of horror from my parents and relations, I had fled. Time passed. The sun started to go down, and still I waited. But nobody came. Eventually, pangs of hunger forced me back to the house. Dreading a smacking, I was thankful to get away with a severe telling off and warnings about future behaviour. Today, nearly 60 years later, memories flood back as I polish the wood and dust the contents of this same cabinet, now so precious to me.